chance to hear it, so let her tell it. People on the streets say Sabrina speaks. Tune into the show, she will let you know. Tell all your friends and family. Real talk is no joke. You get the news straight up from grassroots and concerns. You hear some people gone. So tell all your friends to tune in to
Good evening, Cayman. I'm Sabrina Turner, and welcome to Sabrina Speaks, your daily dose of clarity, truth, and community insights. Every weekday from 5 to 6:30 p.m., we're tackling the issues that affect you, from national headlines to grassroots concerns. Whether you're in traffic or winding down your day, this is your chance to hear it straight and speak your truth. So buckle up, Cayman. We're not holding back.
This is the show. We gotta let you know. Now we got to go.
And now here's Sabrina.
Well, what do you know? Good evening, everyone. Welcome, one and all. Hello, family from near and far. Yes, it's Friday. Yes, welcome to another episode of Sabrina Speaks, Voices of the Islands, Conversations for the World, and the podcast where voices rise, stories unfold, and inspiration takes center stage. I'm Sabrina, and yes, it's good to be back with you, especially as we wind down Friday, wind down the week on this open mic Friday. Yes, the day we open the floor, open our hearts, and open the conversations to each and every one of you. If you want to jump in live, the number is 345-936-8255 to join in on the conversation. You can also WhatsApp your thoughts. I'll read your comments through the show. And definitely drop a comment below if you are streaming from any of your platforms. We'd love having you here with us. And this evening, like every other evening, we're creating the space for honesty and connection and definitely community where you are the center stage, as you always are, but it's open mic. Yes, it's open mic Friday where we slow it down, we check in with each other, and and we talk about things that continue to matter. The things that we're possibly celebrating, the things that we're trying to navigate, and things that we're still trying to figure out. No pressure, definitely no judgment either. Just real voices and real conversations from all of you. So whether you're here already chilled out on the couch, or you're driving home, maybe you're out or going somewhere, maybe a little later, I don't know, it's raining. 1 minute it's raining, next minute the sun is out. I don't know what kind of weather you've been seeing today, but it was downpours in certain areas. I ventured out today. Yes, I did. But whatever you're doing to wind down and enter into the weekend, I'm happy that you're a part of this space. Just the mere fact of you checking in. You could be doing it live or you could do it after. Guess what? Thank you. Thank you. Love you with all my heart. You are still a part of this circle whenever you so choose to click on it. Yes. But remember, please, the content you're about to hear, including any discussions or opinions from myself, guests, and our participants, is intended solely for general informational and entertainment purposes. It's not a substitute for professional legal, medical, or financial advice. So I encourage you to consult with a qualified professional regarding any specific concerns. Bridge Media Limited and all its affiliates disclaims all liability on any decisions or actions taken in reliance on the information, presented. Good evening, one and all. How are you? I see you rolling in slowly but surely, and we just continue to roll it. Aliano, how you doing? They released you yet? Let me know. Drop your response or send me a WhatsApp, whatever happens. Yeah. But yeah, we got some cool graphics. I'm so proud of myself. I'll tell you about all of these a little later. A full-on production line solo. Yes, it's now that time, ladies and gentlemen, for the evening weather. Let's take a look at our evening weather. Compliments of the Cayman Islands National Weather Service. Now, the synopsis calls for cloudy spells and a few evening showers would give way to fair skies overnight as local conditions stabilize. The generally slack pressure gradient persists, thus light winds and smooth seas continue. Radar imagery shows showers across Grand Cayman. The forecast for tonight calls for partly cloudy skies, gradually becoming fair with 20% chance of showers. Temperatures will fall near the low to mid 70s. Winds will be east to northeast at 5 knots or less, becoming light and variable at times. Seas will be smooth with wave heights less than 2 feet. Now, tomorrow, the forecast calls for partly cloudy skies with a few cloudy spells and a 30% chance of afternoon showers. Temperatures will rise to the mid 80s with a heat index of 94. Winds will be east to southeast, 5 to 10 knots, and seas will be smooth with wave heights of less than 2 feet. There's going to be a high tide this evening at 6:20, tomorrow a low tide at 12:40, and another high at 7:21 a.m. The sun will set this evening at 6:33 and sun will rise tomorrow morning at 6:35. Now, the outlook is calling for similar weather conditions through Sunday afternoon. From late Sunday, an increase in cloudiness is likely as a series of troughs begin to affect the northwestern Caribbean. The chance of thunderstorms increases into the new week with periods of rain. There you have it. That concludes our evening weather right here on Sabrina Speaks. And it's good. Again, we want to thank our friends over there at the Cayman Islands National Weather Service. And now, what's making headlines today? Not only here in the region, but definitely international. Let's take a look. Local news making the news today. OFREG has approved a new fuel operating permit for KD Legacy Limited, trading as Two Crew Quick Stop, restoring fuel service to Northside. The former Jack's Esso 2 closed in 2023 over safety concerns. With the permit now issued, operators are securing fuel before inspectors calibrate the pumps, and the station is expected to reopen very soon. There we go. That's a good relief for those people there in Northside. Definitely something you look forward to. And in other local news, we know that work permit numbers stabilize. In an article presented by Cayman News Service, work permit numbers remain steady at around 37,000 despite earlier projections of a spike. WORC reports 37,075 active work permits as of March the 11th, slightly below last year's figures. Officials say the labor market has slowed down, has shown no unexpected surges over the past year. And keeping it more local, we are seeing where Autism Cayman has confirmed Dr. Temple Graydon as keynote speaker for the 2026 Autism Symposium. Garden and leading voice in autism advocacy will speak at John Gray High School on Saturday, April 18th, and the event is free and open to the public. And other local news, the phase 1 of the new CUC roundabout opens this Sunday. Old Crew Road access from Linford Pearson Highway will close from 8 p.m. Saturday to 4 a.m. Sunday for paving. Now, drivers are urged to slow down, stay alert, and follow roundabout rules as work continues. Turning our attention to the Caribbean in a Caribbean roundup, Bermuda has launched a public consultation on its future relationships with CARICOM. Officials say public feedback will guide decisions on economic cooperation, mobility, and regional security. Over in Guyana, Guyana is reaffirming its maritime sovereignty amid ongoing regional tensions. Officials say the country remains committed to diplomacy, legal framework, and strengthening its maritime presence. And over to Haiti. The new testimony sparking tension from former First Lady Moise has made new allegations during testimony before the U.S. authorities, linking former officials to the 2021 assassination of then President Jovenel Moise. The claims have reignited political tensions as security operations continue. And over across the pond, the United Kingdom government has announced expanded AI safety rules amid strengthening oversight of high-risk technologies, focusing on transparency, testing, and responsible deployment. Also, new figures show United Kingdom inflation continuing its slow downward trend, driven by easing energy prices and stabilizing supply chains. The Bank of England says it will continue monitoring conditions. And last but not least, over to the U.S., lawmakers in the United States and Washington are debating a new bipartisan border security package, including funding for technology upgrades, staffing, and processing reforms. Also, several major U.S. tech companies have announced a joint cyber security initiative amid at improving threat detection and strengthening national digital reliance. That concludes this evening's news right here on Sabrina Speaks, and it's good to be here with you this evening for our Open Mic Friday. How has it been going for all of you? And yeah, yesterday I introduced some of these images that I have here so that you can follow me along with when I do the weather and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, it's amazing. Thank you all for your feedback. Today I got a little bit more better because I'm actually doing all of this. So you got to have one eye over here and making sure I can deliver, and you're doing all of this stuff, but it's amazing. It is amazing. I want to tell you, as I continue to do what I got to do here in this space and continue to develop and evolve, and definitely investing in myself to make sure I keep you engaged and informed. But it's Friday, and I know lots of you, it's Friday the 13th. I don't know. Are you spooky? Are you one of those superstitious people? Mm-hmm. How's your Friday the 13th been? Yeah. Well, you know what? Happy birthday to all of you who are celebrating birthdays today on Friday, the 13th of March, 2026. Wishing you nothing but the best. And if you're celebrating an anniversary, of course, happy anniversary to you as well. If you're just celebrating life with your friends, whatever, you know what? Kudos to you from all of us here on Sabrina Speaks. We send you lots of love. And of course, it would be remiss of me not to acknowledge those who may be mourning the loss of a loved one. Again, our thoughts and prayers and strength with all of the families who are going through any challenging times at this time. Let's say a big shout out to my friend Aliano. Good evening to you, my friend. Hello, Carol. What's up, my friend? Are you okay? It was good to drop and see you, Petula, and the team today. Good to see y'all. Make sure you do what I tell you. With that 18, you hear what I tell you? That 18, do what you got to do. Aliano, I am out, but still not 100. The service in the HSA had a great, but can't do the IV though. Oh, okay. You afraid of that? Aliano, all that milk you got, you afraid of an IV? All of that milk you got, Aliano, and you afraid of a little IV? You're probably afraid of injections too, right? OMG. Fun and jokes aside, Aliana, I'm happy that you got home. I'm happy that you're on the mend as well. And I'm happy that, you got positive feedback from HSA. Good for you. Yes, I'm happy it all went well and you continue to mend, and we will continue to check up with you. Good to have you here with us. Nevertheless, please take it easy. And we don't want anything happening to you. Damian Henry, yes, is in the house. Happy Friday to you as well. Nothing can bring you peace but yourself. I hope you know you actually control. One of the biggest things, Damian, is that you don't allow anybody to control you. Don't let anybody take your joy. Don't let anybody actually get in here with your emotions and your headspace, they can try. Don't allow it. You give up your power when you allow that. So, yes, don't give that power up. You're in control of your own destiny, your feelings, and your emotion. My girl's in the house. Connie Bonnie, how you doing? Just give me a thumbs up if I can share one or two of those pictures, please. Just give me a thumbs up. But yeah, thank you for sharing. I love them. The mere fact that you say it, I guess I get permission, right? Connie Bonnie shared with me her orchids yesterday. And, you know, she's always in a kinder, gentler place. Oh, and girl, I didn't know you love orchids like this. Girl. Let me just save and let me just bring them over here so I can share them with our family since we're all one family. And Jimbo, I checked in on Jimbo today. Jimbo is still a little bit under the weather, but he's getting there. And yeah, we're going to send him lots of thoughts and prayers as well. And for the amount of feedback that I got yesterday, when you all, this is beautiful. When you all heard Michelle McCall in was amazing. And you see the power of togetherness. Oh gosh, yeah, it is just so nice that we are getting them, Connie, getting them. Yes. Thank you. You're so sweet. Oh my God, Connie, I can see why you're all into this plant thing. OMG, no wonder you go MIA on me. And because I would stay home all day just to deal with these. There we go. I'm going to share them with you guys. Thanks to Connie giving me permission. Yeah. We're going to share all of Connie's beautiful orchids. Yeah, she's sharing them. She's giving me permission to share them. Let's get them in the studio. Let's pull them in one by one. And do they take a lot of water, Connie? Because I don't have any luck with orchids. They always die on me. And I tend to, they probably need dive tanks for me because I just thing them with love. But you know what? Remember I told you all I had a peace lily? I realized today that my peace lily is about to bloom. Yeah. Look at this, guys. Look at what Connie's been up to. Look at that. That's Connie. All of those orchids. Isn't that just gorgeous? Look at that. Look at all of those that Connie is sharing with us today. Oh my goodness. Look at those. Look at those. And this one, is this a succulent or this is an orchid too? Oh, they're orchids too. Oh my goodness, Connie. No wonder you go MIA on me sometimes. Oh, wow. These must keep you busy. And you talk to them, right? You talk to them. You talk to these things. OMG. Oh, wow. Yes, Damien, real green fingers. I mean, this is a whole spread. And she's just got them all over the place, man. Oh my goodness. I'm going to show this one as well. Oh gosh, your husband know exactly what he could do with you, eh? He just says, I know how to shut her up. Just send her to the plant store. Or just get her, if he's trying to get on your good side, then he can definitely know how to shut you up. There, look at that. Isn't that beautiful, guys? It must be so calming, though. Oh, wow. Jesus. Thank you so much, Connie Bonnie, for sharing this with me. But really, you really got a green thumb for these to survive because they wouldn't last with me. I've tried. I've gotten some beautiful ones for birthdays and just thank yous and that sort of stuff. But girl, in no time, they just go blomp on me. But yeah, I have no luck. But thank you so much for sharing those with us. And I'm hoping that we got some other green thumbs joining us as well and sharing their pictures. You know, this is what the space is all about. You share exactly what's going on. OMG. Thanks. Thanks. Your whole collection. Wow. Aliano, I hope just seeing those flowers made you feel a little bit better. Yeah, hope that makes you feel a little better. But if you got anything that you want to share with us at any point in time, we are more than happy to share the love right here, because I know a lot of you, I see you at the plant stores when I'm inside, sometimes looking outside. Because sometimes, like how it's raining now. Oh, I will go to my favorite plant stores and I stay inside. And then I tell them what I'm looking for. Oh, yeah, because it's raining now. Oh, no. Oh, no. Yes, thank you, because you watered them too much. Yeah, I'm realizing that now. And that's why I could go now to Uncle Google. I'm going to have to go to Uncle Google and tell him, get him and whatever other AI stuff they can tell me how to treat these plants, because I told you guys I had a peace lily that I was behaving myself on, and sitting at the table today, I said, oh my God, don't tell me I drowned this one too. But then when I looked closer at it, it looks as though it's getting ready to give me a flower. Let me share this with you. And I was shocked. So I took it. I haven't even shared this we got a little family plant group chat. Even shared in there. So guess what? You guys are getting first dibs. They'll have to see it on the podcast anyhow. But yeah, look at this, guys. I am so proud of myself that I didn't kill this peace lily. And the ZZ plants, they actually last with me, because you could be bad to kill them. And you can overwater them as well. But where is it now? Yeah, here it is. Here it is. This is my peace lily. Happy Friday to you, Andrew. How you doing, my love? Look, that's Connie, look at that. That white thing in the middle is actually, it's getting ready to give me a flower. Yes. And I had to look good. I was fretting because I was worried that the poor thing was going to die. But the good thing is, what I've learned for true is that these peace lilies, when they are thirsty, they don't give you no peace, because they droop. Like, they're literally like, oh, I'm dying. Give me some water. Give me something. Yeah. So this droops. And I must tell you, I am so proud of myself that I not killed this. I got this over the Christmas. My cousin and I were out and about, and I ended up buying over the holidays. And look at it. And now she's getting ready to actually give me a flower. I am so proud of myself. So Connie, you got it with the orchids. I'm the guru for peace lily now, looks like, in ZZ plants. So my ZZ popped up a new one. I'll share that picture maybe tomorrow or next week, Friday, since it's a lighter mood. But yeah, I got a ZZ plant that got a whole heap of little babies now sprouting up around it. And one just did a shot up. And I was like, okay, I didn't know they go that fast. But yeah. So I'm doing very well. I'm quite sure my crew over there at Vigoro Nursery, because I got this peace lily from them over at Vigoro Walkers Road. And my little crew over there, they will be very proud of me when they see that all that they have sold me, all that they've potted for me, are still alive and doing well. So kudos to you guys over there at Vigoro Nursery on Walkers Road, and the crew as well at Agricola. I haven't seen you for a while, and but I got come because there's something that I need to place in a corner. Yeah, so you'll be seeing me very, very soon. Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, that loves water. Yeah, literal. What I do, I take the skewer stick and I put the stick in it and I pull it out. And if it's dry, of course, that's a good tester. And I put it on my hand. But with these peace lilies, you don't even have to do that, because they actually, how they droop for true. They tell you when they need water. So for all of you beginners wanting to be green thumbs, that sort of stuff, I can tell you, get a peace lily and it'll tell you when it needs water. It will tell you when it needs water. So I'm planning another trip one day soon to go to Vigoro because I want one of those standing trees where the leaves are big, but it looks like it has holes in it. Of course, I walks with these pictures. I wanted to put it in a corner. I don't remember what it names, has big leaves and then holes in the leaves. If you know what it is by its official name, I don't know. The good thing is I don't speak plant, but when I go to the plant store, I just describe which one it is I want. And they, of course, they'd be laughing at me, but then they'll tell me which one I want. That's the fun side about it. And that's why I love going to the plant stores. They get to know your plant, your personality, and they're more than willing to help. And yeah, guess what? They learned I have a phobia as well. So they are that's it, Connie Bonnie. The Monstera. That is it. See, I tell you, you guys would know. Yeah, that. I got an Irish, not Irish moss, that's a drink, but yeah, Irish ivy or British ivy, whatever it is, it flows over, and that is doing very well too. She not date on me yet either. But she's doing very well. Of course, I have it up on a ledge far away from the dogs because, you know, they eat that too much. Of course, they can get sick. But where I have it placed, I wanted it to come over like a cascade. But yes, the Monstera is what it is. See, I know you would know it. Boy, yes. That one, this one, they said is not like the poison ivy. This one is a little less, but still, where it's beautiful and it comes over. And where I have it anyhow, it can't get close to you or, like I said, my pets. No, Bella and Chance won't get near it. So I'm conscious of that as well. But these are all things that they may be pretty, but you have to look at pets and even yourselves. And those guys, that was the first thing that they asked me when I got it. And they cautioned me about near dogs and stuff. Yeah. Don't keep it with the pup. Yes. So I got it really, really high. And it should be very beautiful now as it continues to grow and it falls down on the ledge that I have it. So it should be pretty. Andrew, buy some fruit trees, soursop, avocado, papaya, and get some watermelon seeds. Pumpkin plant are nice, but having a garden mixed with decorative plants is beautiful, but we need food. I got the black mint. I got the basil. I don't have the thyme. I have the oregano. Yeah, oregano. I even caught some black mint. I did some trimmings and I potted them out and I gave them to my family who they can transplant because it was so big. And now I'm seeing it catch back up. And I even got the proper tools to trim it back too as well, on Andrew. But I don't think I will have very much luck where I'm at because I'm close to the water. I'm literally on the water and the salt content is so high. Even with a good Northwester and that sort of stuff, you can see the mango tree where it's actually been brown, and even 1-2 suckers that I had around, they didn't last very long. So unfortunately for me, I wouldn't have much luck with where I am. There are some, I'm quite sure there's some neighbors who have like berries, that sort of stuff. But for me, I'll try my hand, but I'm really not out there. I know that kind. If it can do on my back patio that is enclosed and screened in, we good, Andrew. But if I gotta go outside, Houston, we got a problem. Anything that slithers or jumps that's cold, that not your friend. So to all my farmers out there, you got a customer. When it comes to me, I respect you all. I will buy it. I hope that we never get to the point where I have to sustain myself, because then we'll have to eat oregano leaves, basil, drink black mint tea, and a lot of the ornamentals besides the poison ivy, because outside that, your girl is not going out there. I will unfortunately have to be one of those that depend on all of my great farmers and small farmers, for the little plantings and stuff. So I can't help myself. Too much pest for veggie. Yes, Connie, I got a beautiful Scotch bonnet plant plant from agriculture. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. But let me tell you something. She was covered in no time with the lice. Is it the white lice? I did the soap water solution. I did everything trying to save it, and in no time, she didn't even give me a blossom. And I just don't have no luck with those. Like I told you, the little seasoned pepper trees, I caught that, and in no time again, I saw little lice under it, so they eventually died. I don't have any luck with those kind of things, but every time I have nothing against them, but I just don't have no luck. That's just me. That's just me. Every time I get them, they just get covered in lice. I do the mild soap solution, and they die in no time. I don't. And same thing with tomatoes. I could do scallions. Yeah. I've been lucky with scallions. I can do them right on the windowsill. But to say get a nice patch, and I want to do the time, I've tried to catch some onions as well, and they seem a little, they seem a little weird. Yes, it is open mic today. It is open mic today. You can call in. The lines are wide open right now. 936-8255. And it's, you know how it goes on a Friday. We can talk about anything. Anything. Call in. The lines are open and we'll definitely get to it. Yeah, if you can do some pot plants in a screened area. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. And that's why I do the herbs. The herbs is what I'm doing right now, Andrew. And I even shared some of the black mint with friends and stuff. So grow mangoes and yam. You know what I realized, Connie? You see like potatoes, you see those black containers, the storage containers. I realized now you can actually plant stuff in those if you bore holes in the bottom of them. And you can do like potatoes and carrots and that sort of stuff out of those seam Tupperware containers, the big ones. I was watching that because some people have been very successful who live in small spaces. They want to have a little garden of some sort or a vegetable garden that would normally like rooted vegetables. And they're very successful actually doing that. So yeah. So I don't know. I just don't have no luck. But Andrew, I agree. Anybody out there who's a small farmer, and you'll see me. You'll see me. I just one of those. Just peel the potatoes and they will grow. I do that. Oh, okay. Good. Yeah, I'm going to try my hand at that. But do they take a lot of time? That's the thing. I don't have time. That's the problem. And which is why I tend to go to ornamentals more than anything else. Ornamentals. You water them once a day, and I'm consistent with the the blooming thing, the blue thing that you mix up, and I give that every week, and that of course makes my blooms prettier and big potted plants that have last throughout the season. So I feel good. I feel good about what I have done so far and continue to do. Just before going live, I noticed since it's open mic, we can jump all over the place today. What are your plans right now for Easter and summer that's coming up? Because I'm noticing, based on a travel alert that was issued just before coming live, that book summer flights now, because experts advise as airfares are now on the rise. So you are actually being warned right now that prices are going to be impacted with everything that's happening. And that came through seconds before I went live because they are reporting, Forbes is reporting that airfares are on the rise right now. But in fact, prices in the US have actually dropped. Airlines add more seats. Now, that doesn't mean, here we go. That doesn't mean that it will not be the case, as forecasted projections do suggest that you could be paying much more for your trips for the summer. Yeah. So hint to all of those who are actually trying to travel or having their summer travel, be cautious of it. Or are you one of those who may actually be considering staycation this year with everything that's happening? What are you going to do? Andrew says, mint tea is very good for you, Sabrina. Yeah, remember our grandmother used to give us your digestive system and gut health. You're so right. And I like me some black mint. I really do. I really do like my black mint. And it even is more special when you can go outside and you can harvest it yourself and know that that was on your back patio. We also have things are popping up here for me just to keep you in the know. The latest in a story reported by CMR, the Cayman Islands Customs and Border Service repatriated 6 irregular migrants to the Republic of Cuba today, with 6 male migrants were escorted by Customs and Border Control officers and prison officers. They departed Grand Cayman on a non-chartered Cayman Airways flight at approximately 12:55, and this brings the total number of migrants repatriated to Cuba since the beginning of 2026 to 20. CBC Director Bruce Smith expressed his thanks to CBC partner agents for their support in executing what he describes as another successful operation. Now, according to CBC, there are 24 irregular Cuban migrants currently in the Cayman Islands, and additional repatriation flights will be arranged as processing continues. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we will see an increase in this happening with everything that's happening right next door in Cuba. And some of the images coming out of there is horrendous with what they're actually being put through because of what's happening from this geopolitical environment that we are now in. And we know that before it got to the brink of this, we were seeing these migrants coming here, even though the Cayman Islands was not their final place. They used it as a touch point. And we can expect, I'm quite sure, as the situation unfortunately worsens over there, that we can expect more of these. But the actual cost of actually dealing with these migrants going through the process, we have seen where they have actually sped up. And kudos to the powers that be over there at CBC for all that they do in actually fast tracking these people and getting them to turn around as quickly as they can. Contrary to some other jurisdictions, they don't really go through the whole process as we do, and they deal with them much differently. So, but understanding with what's happening in the region and the geopolitical climate that we're in right now, I would say that they're turning them around much faster. And is there any additional cost for the expedited processing of these persons or individuals? And it would be interesting based on the data, if we would get an idea how much these that they actually come back, because it has been alleged that there have been repeats. They go back and an next set come, and sometimes they've been here more than once before. So how does it work? And we keep doing it over and over and over. It's interesting how we handle these situations, but it would be it would be even more interesting if we could look at how much repeats actually come back and how that actually happens. Stick a pin. Last night after the show, I was looking at Fox News, Miami, and they reported that Cuba has reported that they will be releasing prisoners from their prison. They didn't give much details as to what type of prisoners they will be releasing from their prison. But I can recall coming in the forefront of my mind, OMG, if this is their way of retaliating with everything that's happening, and they're releasing, let's say, some of their most dangerous persons, what are we doing to elevate our game here, not knowing really and truly who's coming in on these boats? That was a part of the news broadcast last night, reported by Fox News, 10 o'clock. Remember, they were an hour ahead now. And it was reports out of there. And they're thinking there's no proof of this, but what they're assuming is that, yes, as things get harder for them over there, but they have a way of fighting back. And that is cause for concern. Yeah, okay, Con. That is cause for concern. So at the end of the day, if they release, let's say, criminals, let's say gangs, dangerous persons, our ladies and gentlemen out there working the front lines, yes, they're trained, they're out on the open waters. We do not know if this influx will actually have persons that were released from prison. It would be some good intel right now if we're going to be sharing of information. And I don't know how easy it is. It may sound easier said than done. How would you be able to know and even the truth of the people that they're released? Or are they just going to release them? And because of how that country is, we could be setting ourselves up that possibly there could be criminals coming in on these boats. We don't know. So that made me look at national security on a different level altogether. And even though they may not be their most dangerous persons that they're releasing, there's a way of really knowing who they will be releasing. But we still have to be on guard that in the event that that is a and we don't even know who they're releasing from prison, a mere fact that it was said, we need to make sure that our ladies and gentlemen who are fighting us or protecting our front lines are aware of this. So they have the means and ways of checking that, but I thought it was good for me to share that with you. Good evening, caller. It's Open Mic Friday. What's on your mind? Welcome to the show.
Thanks very much, Sabrina. Good evening to you and to the listeners, of course. Well, it'll be very interesting to see how exactly what kind of prisoners they're going to release.
Mm-hmm.
Although my suspicion is that they are likely to be more like political prisoners because of the pressure that the United States is putting on Cuba and the other countries. But then, once you release prisoners, you do not know,
Exactly.
because there are always these things where you say, okay, you are releasing them. You are saying they are political prisoners, but how about us and so forth. And then sometimes it's very difficult to define a political prisoner. Some people who are political prisoners were actually sent to prison on legitimate offenses. But at the end of the day, there will be some issue as to, you see, a lot of people like that, once they've come out of prison, they don't want to stay in the same country because they are now on. There is a way in which they'll still be watched. Many of them will want to leave, and you never know. Some of them might wind up in Cayman, because Cayman is one of the favorite destinations that they have. The history of the connection, and things like that, and also like under our legislation, I think there is certain preference they are given in terms of the point system. I forget exactly how it works.
Yeah, once you are named as a person who come here and get like a refugee status exempted by cabinet, they for you to regularize yourself. If let's say you go through the asylum process and you're allowed to remain and stay under the point system, for you to get it regularized, there are no points just because you were approved through the process. You just need to apply, is what they're saying.
Okay. Yeah, so it'll be very, very, very interesting. Well, it was interesting to also listen yesterday to your. I listened to some of your your discussion about parliamentary privilege. Very, very interesting, and I think anybody not used to that would have found it very, very useful. I mean, Parliament. I mean, you having lived through it yourself, I'm quite sure. Even, I mean, you didn't go in sort of as somebody totally unknowledgeable, but I'm quite sure even you, when you got in, there's a few little things here and there. You say, "Oh, this actually happens or doesn't happen."
Sir, if I knew then what I know now, oh yeah.
Yeah,
But yeah,
yeah, you know,
it was like one of those left hooks because you're like,
yeah,
this is really happening, but yeah, there were some good
yeah,
there are lots of good moments. I will have friendships and relationships that will last forever, but just putting it into the
yeah,
context in regards to the role and the lines, the invisible lines in the sand, if you really just stay in your
yeah,
lane,
yeah.
OMG. Yeah, it is an OMG moment.
Yeah, some of them are good discoveries. Say, oh,
Oh
well,
yeah.
so I can do this, or someone
Mhm.
protected from this. But sometimes you say, "What? I'm a minister and I can't do this. What the hell?"
I got challenged with that today. I was out and about, and they were like,
Yeah,
"But you're the minister. You were the minister. What do you mean? You're in charge?" And I'm like, Oh no, this is how it works. Separation of powers. This is what a minister can do. This is what the civil service do. And they're just looking at me like confused, and I'm saying, this is how the structure is. This, and
yeah.
they're baffled that we don't have as much powers as they think. But we still
Yeah,
got a
well,
lot of power.
it's like when I used to write legislation. Legislation goes to the House, and then an MP gets up and says, "Well, I don't like the way this is drafted. How come the drafters put it like that?" Now, actually, what the MP is saying, it's not the drafting they are talking about. They are talking about the substance of it, because the substance, I'm not in charge of the substance. I can tell you once you tell me what the substance is, and I can tell you in light of the law, the
Right.
Constitution, human rights, and everything, how to word it. But at the end of the day, don't criticize the drafting. A lot of times, the drafting part, in fact, when we write legislation, the drafting part is the easy part. It is the background of understanding the issues and the legalities and the constitutional issues that are there. So it's always one of those. It's very interesting. I forget whether you covered it yesterday, that you cannot arrest a member of parliament for a civil debt on their way to parliament, or when they are coming back from parliament, or from any committee of parliament.
I didn't go into
So, I
that.
mean,
I didn't go in details
you
into
didn't,
that. But once
yeah,
Parliament is called, let's say you get involved in a motor vehicle accident,
yeah,
you have the right to leave the scene. You don't have to stay. Yeah, and you
yeah,
can't be arrested. Once Parliament is called and you get, let's say you're not one of those that has a driver and you get in a motor vehicle accident on your way there,
mm-hmm.
you don't have to stay at the scene of the crime, of the
Yeah,
accident. You can leave. You can leave because you're
you can leave so
protected
long as you are headed to parliament.
as long as
Yeah,
you're headed to Parliament. Yep.
yeah, yeah. There are all these little tiny things, and then some years back, you probably remember this, because this is about the time I think I was just coming to Cayman. Must have happened 2003, or maybe a little earlier than that. Like, there were some people in the legislative assembly, and then somebody got up and said, there are some strangers in the house.
Yes. Yes. That was a
Yeah.
gentleman. I remember that. The minister,
Mm-hmm.
the elected member right now for Kimmenbrack East, Miss Julie.
Mm-hmm.
There was a young man in the chamber who were taking pictures. And of course, in the chamber, not in the upstairs, and it wasn't properly identified. We knew who the individual was, but the purpose of taking pictures, it wasn't quite clear. And she called them out, and the stranger in the house, and she used the right terms. And it was a learning moment for all of us, because again, small island jurisdiction, small island states, every one of us knew the gentleman, but protocol in the chamber, taking pictures, that was a breach of standing orders unless we were properly notified, the person was properly ID'd and labeled. And that was not the case, even though we knew the individual. What was the purpose for getting so close and personal, taking pictures every time everyone spoke, yada, yada, yada. So yes, that was real. And then an explanation was given.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I think that person was very bold. I even without knowing the rules, I can't go into a place like that and start
But they
taking
had
pictures. But anyway,
authorization. It just was not communicated to the members.
okay.
They
So it
weren't
was,
there on their
but
own. No, they weren't there on their own.
yeah,
But they weren't properly
yeah. So,
labeled. They didn't have on a government shirt. But after, in
mm,
hindsight, it was explained only when it was brought to the floor of Parliament in that parliamentary language.
yeah, and I believe a lot of people, and I think you rightly so, had a problem with, as you said, the parliamentary language. A stranger, it's
But it was nothing
which
wrong.
is what
There was
nothing.
absolutely nothing wrong with it, because without being
Yeah,
properly identified, even though
yeah.
I would know that's Mr. Balika, or that's this one's son, or that is this one daughter, without you
Mhm.
meeting the requirements, ample notice, or properly identified, it doesn't matter. You are a stranger in the house.
Yeah, as far as the terminology goes, and that term goes back, as you know, to England, all over the Commonwealth.
Mhm.
Anybody who is not a member of parliament technically is a stranger, and
Correct.
therefore that's why the rule says that the speaker will regulate the
Mhm.
admission of strangers into the house, so that
Correct.
even if you are a guest, but you're actually a stranger. So sometimes you want. It's just that very often it is difficult to change terminologies once they become entrenched, and
Correct.
yet for the people's house, I don't think we should be using that term at all. Yes, there should be authorization. Yes, there should be notification that the person has been authorized, and people must be allowed to come in as much as possible. But why don't they amend the standing orders to say a non-member,
Mhm.
which is what really you mean, rather than using the emotive sort of exclusionary term of, a stranger. But I mean, these are things which develop over time, and the terminologies are easy to continue using. I have always been a person who says, look, if this is a problem, change it. Like for me, if I was in power in
Mhm.
Cayman at the time,
Mhm.
knowing that some people were offended by the use of the term stranger,
Mhm.
and rightly so, I would have said, let us amend the standing orders. We should never call the people who send us here strangers when they come into there. I would have amended the standing orders, regardless of what the
Understood.
practice is still in England or everywhere and so forth. But one thing I also learned working in government for a while, for a long time, is that very few people are brave enough to suggest changes. If you do something, even if it is not very smart,
Mhm.
10 years ago, and then a few other people repeat it,
Mhm.
they feel more comfortable to do it because it has been done before. If you tell them, well, but it doesn't make sense, they'll say, well, but this is the way it is done. They are always comfortable to maintain something which is like has been done before. So I used to have a cynical boss way back who used to say, if somebody did something stupid 20 years ago and another 20 people repeat it 20 times, does it become smart? You change it,
Right.
So, but
Right.
anyway, yeah. Then there was, of course, the issue about the internal proceedings of Parliament, right? I think you covered a little bit of that, of, how Parliament and the Speaker are responsible for what are called internal proceedings of Parliament.
Mhm.
Uh, it was way back. This is when I was doing I was doing my master's in legislation at the University of Ottawa. Way back, this is 84, 85. There was a case that we went through, and there are a lot of people actually who they've dealt with Parliament have know about it. It's called Stockdale, stock like government stock, and Dale, DALE,
Mhm.
against Hansard. That case was very interesting because it used to be that even if Parliament authorizes you to produce a report, like it contracts you to print something,
Right.
and then you make it public. And if you defamed somebody, uh, you enjoyed no protection. Somebody could sue you for defamation and succeed. So what happened in the
Mm.
case of what used to happen with Stockdale, because Stockdale against Hansard was Parliament did some reports after committee meetings and so forth, and then they authorized Mr. Hansard, and that's where the name came from, Mr. Hansard, who used to be authorized
The
to print
Hansards.
to
Okay.
exactly, So Mr. Hansard produced the report, and Stockdale said, "You have defamed me," and sued him. So Mr. Hansard said, "Look, this is in a sense a proceeding of Parliament. Parliament has authorized me to do it, and they enjoy immunity." And it went to court. But when it went to court, the court said, "Okay, yes, you are authorized by Parliament, but the only things that are immune are the things that are done in the precincts of Parliament, within the internal proceedings, in the physical presence of Parliament. But if even if they authorize you to do this, but you do it outside,
Right.
you can be sued." So the man lost the suit. And then the sheriffs went now to seize his property to execute the judgment. It just went on as a saga for a number of years until in 1840, they enacted what was called the Parliamentary Papers Act, where they said, okay, if Parliament authorizes you to print anything, okay, and you print it, even if it's defamatory, you are also immune from suit.
Oh.
Can you imagine? I mean, that is something they could have amended earlier, but it took this saga,
Yeah.
in Stockdale against Hansard. And now, within our standing orders in Cayman, you have a standing order there which specifically deals with that. It originates from the Parliamentary Papers Act of the UK, 1840. It also says now in the standing orders that if you print something which is authorized by any committee or Parliament itself, that you are immune from suit. And I just wish that really some of these things could be changed without people suffering. And another case which is very interesting is called Bradlaugh. Bradlaugh against Gossett. This was a very interesting case in England. What happened was, this was like about 18 something. Anyway, this guy, Mr. Bradlaugh, was elected to Parliament, but he was an atheist, you see. And he also had a society for like promoting atheism and so forth. So he got elected to Parliament. So now when he wanted to take his oath, they told him that, you see, you can't take the oath. Also, first of all, he said he wanted to affirm rather than take the oath because he didn't believe in God. And then they told him, no, you can't affirm. You have to take the oath. And then he argued, he said, well, look, under the courts, the legislation governing courts, people were allowed to affirm even that at that time. So he said, well, why don't I affirm in the same way? And they said, no. That applies to the courts. It doesn't apply to Parliament. You have to swear on the Bible.
Right.
So he said, okay, fine. I will swear on the Bible. I mean, it won't mean anything to me, but I will swear on the Bible. But I will still take to be that to be my solemn promise to be diligent in the execution of my duties. Then they said, no, you can't, because if you swear for something you don't mean, then you shouldn't swear. So when he tried to go to Parliament, they barred him. They got the sergeant at arms to bar him, and he was refused to swear. Again, he went to court. He said, look, under the Oaths Act, I am supposed to swear an oath. So I want to swear the oath. Then they said, no. Parliament is supreme as far as internal proceedings are concerned. Even if there's a law which says that you can swear, but you can't swear, you are an atheist, it would be a meaningless oath.
Oh, wow.
I mean, it went on for such a long time. Eventually, it was resolved in that they changed the legislation, but this is after it went on, Sabrina, for some years. 4 or 5 years, and then finally they changed the law to say, okay, you can authorize people to affirm. And you can imagine all his political opponents at that time, when he died, they acknowledged him and honored him to be a man of principle. And after they amended the law, he was always being praised for what he did. So I said to myself, why don't we do these things correctly when they arise? Accept that our societies sometimes are diverse, and that instead of sticking in a ramrod kind of way to something which was done at old times, and then later on being proved wrong. This is the thing you see, like in America today, as you know, a lot of people talk about, well, if you do things, you are on the wrong side of history because you resist for some time, but this is the way, the direction in which going forward.
Which goes
No,
to
so
what you
another
were saying with the language being used is why you would actually support, or maybe locally they can consider that being a thing.
Yeah, exactly. Not just amend the standing orders to say, well, instead of strangers, you say, well, any non-member who comes in, and then that's all right, rather than a stranger. How can you say I elected you here, and then when I come to visit you, you tell me I'm a stranger? That's something else. Well, another little thing, maybe the last one. It's very interesting. Actually, it was involving me. Well, not in the event, but I wrote about it. See, way back in Canada, this is sometime in the 70s or thereabouts. What you discussed yesterday, which says that Parliament, whenever you say something in Parliament, it is immune. You can't sue. And they enjoy what is called absolute privilege. There is some privileges in other areas of law which are qualified in that so long as you act in good faith, you are okay. But if you act in bad faith, you can be sued. But the privilege, of course, as you explained yesterday, of which parliamentarians enjoy is absolute privilege. Even if they did it maliciously, you can't sue them. But of course, as you explained yesterday, you have to. There are ways in which they can be disciplined within their own system.
Correct.
Without being sued, and they are also told you have to be very, very careful what you say because you can destroy lives. I think yesterday you even said it could even destroy marriages as well. So I liked it. Very interesting that but that is true because that whole range of things can be destroyed. You see, what happened in this case in in Canada was that a minister was put under pressure in Parliament. He was blamed for not doing certain things correctly. And so what he did was he explained in Parliament that, well, look, this was not my fault. It was the fault of one of my officers, Mr. Stopford. So now that was a civil servant. Now a civil servant couldn't sue him because he said it in the chamber of the House. But then what happened is that when he left the chamber of the House and was in what they call the lobby. Now, the lobby is neither inside the House nor outside the House. It is an area where the speaker regulates who goes there. Yeah, it's a common area, but it is not really the chamber of the House where it is clear your privilege applies. Then the minister repeated that statement in a press conference in the lobby. The civil servant wasn't thrilled. He sued his minister. He sued his minister. And the issue became not so much whether the privilege applies, but whether the privilege applies to the lobby. Is the lobby part of the internal proceedings or not? And what the court said was no, the lobby is not covered in the privilege. You are only covered if you for what you say in the proceeding on the inside, yeah. But in the lobby, even if it's not outside, even if it is regulated by the speaker in terms of who goes there, it is not part of the internal proceedings. And then the civil servant succeeded. By the way, I wrote a term paper on that case. That's why I remember it so well. And my professor told me, "Do you want to have this? Do you want to have this published?"
So
but I
you
didn't
got
get
to
a
be
chance to.
careful with that responsibility, and I'll get you to weigh in on this just so we change subjects a little bit. The part
Sure.
of the news article that I wrote, there's a CNS article that clearly breaks down the amount of work permits and pretty much, and I'm going to quote here because I was going to go into it a little bit more. According to the latest figures from WORC, it hit a record 37,909 work permit holders at the end of 2024. The highest number ever recorded. Now, this is we're paraphrasing, right? And when you compare the total workforce of 62,743 people, it means now make up roughly 62% of the labor force. Do you understand that? Expatriates now make up roughly 62% of the labor force. And then we want, exactly. See, you get it. You get it. You get it. The article is in CNN, 62%. Even though right now, what is being shown is that it's actually what they're thinking is that we're at a plateau. I threw the conversation out because I didn't get, and Andrew, no, I didn't get to watch the story this morning. I was out on the road before 11 o'clock and I just didn't get to really tune in on Sandra's show. So I was out on the road today and the conversation came up. And some tend to think that people are not leaving, but yet this particular article made its way. And then they're saying, where is it? They're wondering whether or not, you know, the work permits have met its cap. If the Cayman, if it's a plateau, is it a case where it's actually working based on services and how the processes are working? Or really, is it something else? Could it be that employers are no longer employing? Could it be that people are voluntarily leaving? Is it that the cost of living is to such a point that, yeah, right now we're seeing numbers, but the mere fact that some of the statistics are being used is going back to 2024. When you look at the amount now that persons have actually made the decisions, I'm hearing stories of the amount of work permits that are being denied across the sector, either denied, outright deferred, that people are just leaving. Even cases where, you know, families are being torn apart in a case where a child or children were included as a dependent, and because now the minimum threshold of having dependents now has increased, it's either one of two things happen. You know, you're going to send your child or children back home, or your employer is put in a position to increase your salary. Let's say the magic number is $4,000 to $4,000 so you can keep your dependent. Some people are having to make up their mind whether or not they're going to stay. And then businesses are making the decision, well, let's outsource this, because if I got to go through all of this hoops and hurdles to go through this and to go through that, I might as well outsource it if I can, based on what business you're in or what services you're offering. What I'm saying is it does not necessarily mean that it's going to create more jobs in the local market. But the mere facts that based on 62,743 people, it means expatriates now make up roughly 62% of the labor force.
And how many Caymanians are still unemployed?
Okay, we're not even going there because we don't have those numbers. But if you actually look at the statistics that we have been throwing here to say that the indigenous generational, however you want to categorize it, this only proves that the 17% could be a reality of who's left.
Yes. Oh, yes. It could be a reality because, I mean, we would love to have the hard figures, but really when you can make an educated guess. First of all, you look at these figures and what they tell you, and you look at the increase of population for me, I always take it to the in about 3 years ago or so, when Dr. Mikaina Scott said it was 28% roughly indigenous people who were in the workforce. And if you take into account the increase of population, the proportion of work permits, I think, yes, the indigenous people should be under 20% now, as an educated guess. And it will be interesting to know how many Caymanians are still unemployed, because last time I heard, I think the unemployment was still somewhere around 4% or thereabouts. Yeah. But you see, for me, with these kinds of figures, there shouldn't be a single Caymanian who wants work and can work who should be unemployed. When I was in the BVI more than 20 years ago now, around 1997, 1998, I remember having a discussion with this guy. I just go to the BVI then. I went to the BVI in 99. And the guy was saying, we've got full employment. The only people who don't have work are those maybe they've got substance abuse issues or those, people like that. But otherwise, anybody who was capable to work had a job. And to me, that made sense. So when they had a lot of work permits, I don't know that they had this many work permits, but that's the reason you get work permits, because there's nobody who can do the work locally. But it came on. These figures are just telling you. They are just telling you that the Caymanian as of right is now down to less than 20%. And I again, this goes back to these figures. Why don't they interpret these figures for us? I mean, ESO can put together some figures, or people can research them and come out with these figures. But why isn't government engaged with the public to talk about these targets, possible targets, and the figures and what they mean? Okay, it's all very well to go on radio and talk like your former political opponent does, going there to say, we are going to do this and that and so on. But at the end of the day, when it comes down to brass tacks, it is a question of what are you doing on the ground?
I got the numbers. Thanks to Uncle Google, and I read straight from Uncle for AI. It says, recent Cayman Islands labor workforce survey indicate the expatriate share the unemployment workforce around 55 to 64%, which aligns with what I'm saying, close to the 62%, right?
Yes.
The most recent detailed data from fall of 2024 shows 1,048 unemployed Caymanians.
1,048. They shouldn't be. I mean, look, on the assumption that some of those even have got substance abuse, I would take out the 48. I would say those other 1,000, they should have a job if they want one. If you still have work permits being given out for people who work at the till, at Kirk's and Foster's, it's not making sense. So for me, come on, Sabrina, this is dangerous, because there will be no other time to fix this. Okay? There will be no other time to fix it, because this election has just finished. It's not even a year since the election. The next election is in 3 years and a little bit of change. By that time, you would have granted more work permits, statuses, and PRs in the thousands. And frankly, once it reaches the next election, I don't think it's doable. It will just get to a point where it's impossible. I have to admit that even now it's hard to do.
Exactly. But it gets to the point, as I went deeper into the statistics, it says pretty much with a population, let's round it off at 88,833, right? With 40,633 Caymanians, which is an average of 4 to 6%. That's not indigenous. That's inclusive, as we were talking here.
Status, yes.
Holders, right? The total labor workforce, again, 60,828 employed, 59,393 would be the total workforce employed would be 59,393. Now the Caymanian is in labor force 22,553 employed, 21,487, and unemployed, which is where we got down to that 1,084 for the 4.6% of Caymanian unemployment rate. So this is based on a population of 88,833 individuals or persons, of which 40,633 are Caymanians, representing 46%. But that 46% also includes status holders.
Yeah. It's not working. I'm just seeing a comment here from Andrew, who is saying that more than 50% of the money earned, it goes outside the country. Now, this triggers me to make a point I've made before. I think the term that I've used is that, you see, Cayman is used more or less as a surrogate mother, because they say that the surrogate mother, once they have the child has got no DNA connection to the child. And then after the child, they give birth, the child goes to their parents. And to me, that's the way. I don't want to be disrespectful, but I want to use an analogy that maybe might have an impact. That's the way I see Cayman, because people come in and they create these businesses, okay? government gets a little bit of tax from it, but not very much. I think if you compare, to the fact that they are selling the birthright of people, right? They establish these businesses, and then they ask for work permits. They are given work permits. At the very beginning, because they are smart, they will employ a few Caymanians, to drive the bus or to be, housekeepers and so forth. But they know how to do it because they want to, at the beginning, to show that they're employing some Caymanians. And then after that, you will find that even those jobs go to work permit holders. None of the Caymanians are in any managerial positions. So the business has been established. It may be thriving, but it has had no impact on the employment situation in the Cayman Islands. And then
go ahead.
Yeah,
I'll say something once.
No, I'm listening.
It actually says, and Live Happy, this is for you. Oh, thank God for this Google stuff. It says financial services hold the highest number of work permits in the Cayman Islands, followed closely by the construction and tourism industry. As of March 2026, total work permits stood at 37,075. And the top industries were financial services, banking, leading due to the island's status as global finance hub and employing thousands in the roles like compliance and accounting. And then construction was the second highest with 155 employers registration noted recently amid ongoing development projects. And then third was tourism and hospitality, supporting hotels, restaurants, and retails with significant expatriate labor. Now, what was interesting in what would be some of the barriers based on statistics that is gotten here from our ESO, right? Caymanian unemployment in the Cayman Islands stems from several structural and socio-economical factors. And even recent reports highlighted barriers despite overall low unemployment rates around 4 to 5% for Caymanians. What are some of those main barriers, Mr. Balika? Low educational attainment. About 60% of unemployed Caymanians have only a high school diploma or less, limiting access to better paying jobs despite thousands of entry-level openings. And it also pointed out that low wage and minimum wage levels as well, and goes back to skill and job mix match. And under that section, it says future growth in fields like IT sees low Caymanian interest, only 8% qualified to pursue it, while employers need skilled Caymanians often lack. And that was based on information from the Cayman Chamber. So it's not that it is not there. The information is there. So it goes back to our previous conversation with the percentages and saying we don't need all of these persons. If we're saying that based on the statistics that is out there, we're changing and doing all of these immigration reforms for 1,048 persons, not looking at these industries. And thank you, Live Happy, for asking that question. What are we going to do then with the financial services, for example? What are we going to do with the construction industry then? So tell the truth to the people. You can't stop it unless we're going to slow down everything.
Yeah, you see, those statements being made there, they are. I mean, if they are facts, they are facts.
Exactly.
we can't change them. Okay, they are facts. What we need to look at as well,
like the Chamber of Commerce. So it's not that we're just going off the top, and even Home Office as well. So this is based on stuff that is here, and it's pulling it from the Chamber and other local stats, including government.
Now, tell me. Okay, they have said that about a certain percentage of those people who are unemployed only have a high school diploma. But 60. Does it mean that the 60? Yeah, they've got only a high school diploma. Okay, that might be, well, that is certainly part of the problem. But then you have to also answer the question: the work permits that they give to people to do the menial jobs in the Cayman Islands,
industry, and so forth.
And they can't go to those high school holders. They can. I'm quite sure that there are a lot of, unless they mean to tell me that all the people who have work permits and working in hospitality in those lower level jobs have got more than a high school diploma, which I know a lot of them don't. Okay, so it is not explaining fully why those 60% are unemployed. I think if they could cut down on some of those work permits, I'm quite sure that number could be probably halved. That's one question I have.
Well, could it be
The other question
could it be the culture and the behavior of the employment way of life then, where persons aren't really given a chance?
Yeah, to me, I think they are not being given a chance. If you are going to give a work permit to somebody who is going to work at the till at one of the supermarkets, you are telling me none of those people who have got a high school diploma, who are literate, can't do that job? No, you can't. To me, if you are saying that that number of kids who have left school are unemployed, and you still have somebody working at the till who is not one of those, there is a problem, because those work permits can be avoided, and those kids, maybe all of them even, can be employed. So that is not answering the issue. The other thing is that even when they say that, okay, they need to upskill themselves, okay, that is partly true. You can't deny that. There are some kids who just need to get a little better qualifications. Maybe they can get a better job. But I also know a lot of Caymanians who have got master's degrees, but have been working at the reception.
Yeah, correct.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I see
where Andrew is saying we don't need a degree to pack shelves at supermarket shops, gas station attendants, $8.75 per hour. But Andrew, a lot of our people who says that they want to do some of those jobs, but it goes back to what you are saying, Mr. Balika. There are a lot of qualified Caymanians as well that also find themselves in this boat. This is why this is just from one site, and it's pulling information from our ESO and from other local information based on stat. But why I took and read it is because it aligns, it's aligning with a lot of the information, even when you compare it with ESO. So there is some facts to what I pulled up, but I think it's to expand it even more. The culture and behavior, how employment practices are actually being exercised here, and based on the pace of development, the elephant in the room, what people are saying, if you look at the amount of unemployed, you're catering to 1,040 odd, but yet you got all of these big developments going on. You got the demand still from the financial industry, for example. Are we saying, let's say 800 out of those thousands have degrees or qualifications from the financial sector? What are we saying? And if they're still not given a chance for whatever reason? You get where I'm going? I don't know what I wish I knew how to solve the problem.
And I understand a lot of these points which have been made actually have got a modicum of truth in them, but it's just that they don't explain the whole problem. Because, okay, I also agree that there are some people in Cayman who don't want to do those jobs. But I'm quite sure of those high school people, it is not all of them who don't want to do those jobs. You know what I mean? So all these things, do explain part of the problem. But you don't tell me that each and every one of those people who can't get a job, they only have a high school diploma, that they don't want to do any of those jobs. Not all of them. Some of them, yes. So it doesn't explain the whole problem. To me, this is something they have to look at. You have talked about education. They've said that those 60%, they only have high school diploma. Yeah. Dr. Mikana Scott also did in her PhD thesis, she talks about the education. She says that, if I can remember the statistics well, when they did an assessment of how well schools are doing, like from kindergarten to grade school and so forth, I think when she did the one for kindergarten, she says that 80% of those which were doing well, like which had a good academic program, 80% of the people who go there are expatriates. Only 20% of Caymanians go to the good ones. But then those which are doing very badly, 80% of the kids who go there are Caymanians. Okay, what is that telling you? It is telling you that there is a modicum of truth to that as well, which says that these people maybe are not ready to go there and work. And so the question becomes, as government, what is government doing to try and ensure that these kindergarten schools to which most of the Caymanians go, about 80%,
Mhm.
that they do better. Because these are the ones who will become a problem in future in terms of crime, failure to get a job, and then if eventually, And for the amount of money that Cayman has, that statistic shouldn't exist, or if it exists, it shouldn't be that stark. I mean, you can't tell me that there's nothing government can do about a statistic where 80% of the children of Caymanians go to the non-performing ones. Only and then only 20% of Caymanians go to the good performing ones. In the bad performing ones, that's where there's an overpopulation of Caymanian kids, 80%. That is practically creating a permanent underclass in the society, and it will in part explain why they can't get a job, but only in part. Only in part, because some of those, like I've said, would still want to do a minimum wage job.
Right.
And again, it goes to an even broader point. If Cayman wants to preserve its culture, it has to adopt a multifaceted approach to this. Yes, it is about work permits and the legislation, but legislation is only part of it. I've always maintained that half the things that happen to Caymanians in terms of them being excluded from certain jobs, 50% have got nothing to do with legislation. It's just that the practices are not supported by the government, which would ensure that these people can find something to do. You remember how, if we can talk politics on the same topic, Chris Saunders, I love to repeat this. Chris Saunders said during the last election, and also I think he repeated it on another show, he said, you people, you are saying that if Caymanians have to upskill themselves. Yes, that is true. I'm not denying that. But I can show you a lot of Caymanians who have been upskilled, but they've never got a job. Okay? And to me, I can cite here a young lady I saw way back who had a master's in hospitality. Master's in hospitality. Couldn't even get a job to wait tables. And yet she said, I'm ready to do that and start that. She couldn't get a job. So don't tell people to be upskilled, and then when they become upskilled, you won't give them a job.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to mention a name on this particular occasion.
Correct.
There are two people who, in my view, should have been judges in the Cayman Islands, indigenous Caymanians.
Yep.
And they have court experience, 16 years, 20 years. I've repeated that over and over again. Are you telling me, why aren't they a judge now? Why? What upskilling do you need when to be a judge in the Grand Court? You need 10 years experience. This person had experienced more than 10 years, about 16 years litigation, then about another number of years as a court administrator, and then winds up with a total experience in the judiciary of 23 years. And you say they are still not fit to be a judge. That's not a legislative problem. It's an attitude of the government in that they do not know how to be able to support their own people. So, I mean, look, to me, this is the last time for this government to fix it, and I think they've failed to fix it. It's just not going to work. But we'll see what happens.
We have to wait and see. But with stats like this, with the information that is being keyed in from various sources, like the Chamber, from other private companies that do articles that have specialists in these areas, it's a combination of things. But when you see things are starting to align, and with the naked eye, and you hear the people who run remittance services make certain statements, you even hear people in the churches actually saying, I don't know what they're thinking about, but yeah, this one's leaving, that one's leaving, this one is selling their car, this one is leaving. Yeah, they are leaving. Now, maybe people may be out there rejoicing. Yay, they're going.
Maybe
it's working.
Yeah.
You will have a mix of people.
Yeah. You see, you talked about articles. I know you were talking about articles, not so much articles in terms of articles to qualify as a lawyer. You were talking about news articles, but you triggered my mind. Yeah, you triggered my mind about this same issue about articles. This was an issue I remember when who's the guy who was MP before Wayne Panton? Saku Alva. Yeah, Alva Saku, when he was in Parliament, I remember he made a statement. He said, look, there is an issue here about our children, our kids being able, using children in a Caribbean way, our children are not getting articles. We have to find ways in which they can find articles. And it was talked about a lot after that. But to me, as far as I'm concerned, government should guarantee articles to anybody who is a Caymanian. Simple. If you are a Caymanian, whether sponsored by government or sponsoring yourself, you go to law school and then you finish everything that you have to do, and now you need articles so that you can be called to the bar. The government should guarantee you articles.
Mm-hmm.
They should be able to say, okay, every year we will take 4 or so, and then basically, in my view, the way it should happen is that when Caymanians finish, they should be handed over, because there are not so many, remember. They should be handed over to the Attorney General's chambers. Then the Attorney General will decide how many they keep and how many they will source out to to the private sector, because the private sector are keen to please the Attorney General. Okay, that's why sometimes he gets away with all kinds of things, but that's another discussion. They are pleased, if you just say, okay, here are 20 people who have graduated, okay, in the portfolio of legal affairs, we're going to keep, say, 6 and put them in different departments and rotate them. And then they can then talk to the law firms and make sure that every Caymanian who wants articles can get articles. But you see, but they keep talking about this, and it has never been done. The country I came from, I was guaranteed articles after the government sponsored me, because they said, after you have spent time to do your courses and so forth, it is a waste of time for you now to find that you can't now do articles, you can't be called to the bar, and then your degree becomes stale after 7 years, and that was the reasoning then. So what they need to do, if I were again in government, I would say, in fact, I think Alva had suggested such a committee. The way he called it, what he said, why don't we have a committee which is going to look at why Caymanians are not benefiting from some of the things that this country provides. I would just widen it a little bit and say it should be a committee to say what policy changes need to be there. They've dealt with the legislative changes, as much as those changes, in my view, are not enough. You now say, what are the policy changes that we need to ensure that our people are being appointed? Because to me, half the problem has got nothing to do with legislation. It's got to do with policy. Yeah. So anyway, well, Sabrina, let me leave you there. Very nice to chat with you as usual. And you are a terrible provocateur. Thanks very much.
I just throw it out
there. Exactly. Just throw it out there. Make sure that discussion going on.
Exactly.
You take care.
Okay. Likewise.
Bye-bye.
All the best. Yes, thank you for that caller. And Aliana, let's get to some of the messages up here in regards to what we were talking about, the work permits. And I post them, but for some, I want to draw emphasis. Aliano said, I always told it's no dirty jobs, just dirty rip-off pay. And Live Happy says, in regards to the construction industry, it would not be sustainable to continue that industry. Cayman is too small to build into infinity. You're quite right. Aliano also says, we constantly hear Caymanians aren't getting up and doing the jobs that are here, but maybe the jobs don't meet or match our environment. Live Happy says, it brings us back to the age-old question, Cayman is small. Who are we developing for? Aliano further says in a comment, exploitation and exhaustion has made a lot of jobs repetitive and dead end. 9 to 5 kills motivation and progression. And of course, Denver weighs in, and Denver commented saying Caymanians with only high school education should be applying themselves when given a job and have the initiative to move up on the job until they find another job that's better and more in line with what they desire too. It's not difficult. I did so and was successful in every job I did. Congratulations to you. Tartarian weighs in the comments today. When I left school, I saw this coming. Class of 1990 to 1995 is still struggling. They allowed us to graduate with a low grade. When I left school, I did not even had 1 O level. I was ashamed. Tartarian? Yep. But guess what? That was the year that they introduced GCSE, right? But you still had the other one that you could take. But that was the year, yes, we were the year of 1990 that they introduced to GCSE. And then, yeah, I got what, 3, 4, 5, yeah, whatever it was. Yeah, whatever that year was, they introduced, and before that it was GED. But that was the year, we were the year, 1990. We were the year that they introduced the GCSE and the whole thing changed. Yeah, so getcha. Don't be ashamed of that. Look at what you've done for yourself. Keep on being thing. And I tell you what, right now, GCE, yes. But when you look at the class of 1990 and look at the positions that a lot of them are really holding right now through our government, I think you mentioned it yourself, we didn't do pretty bad. Remember, Mr. Taylor Jati used to say, oh my God, you guys are the worst year ever. Worst year ever. I can hear him right now. And look at there, we're still his favorite year. Andrew says, how many Caymanians who are privileged to go to university and their parents spend thousands of dollars for their children's education have any great opportunities to come back home? They are told that they don't have the experience. Accountants will get funding most times from local accounting firms, lawyers, engineering firms. But outside of that, it's very slim. You're quite right, Andrew. You are quite right. And when they come home is when they actually have the difficulty being placed or landing a job accordingly. And from what I'm hearing from this minister, that is what they're trying to do to better align our Caymanians returning back home with these qualifications and making sure that we create an environment that they can ease back into jobs, but they shouldn't feel as though they're actually coming in and not being respected for their qualifications. And what I got from the Minister of Education, that he's working hand in hand with the Minister Miles to try and make sure that that is properly placed. That Caymanians returning back from home with qualifications and that sort of stuff don't feel as though they are tossed to the curb, because then what's used against them is the fact that then they lack the experience. So they go ahead, they get their qualifications, still left at the 8 ball, behind the 8 ball, because then they say they don't have no experience. Where does it end? And this is why I keep repeating the culture, the environment of giving people a chance, even when they do everything right in upskilling themselves, getting the necessary qualifications, they're finding it very challenging to return home and be accepted in the environment and respected, being paid a fair wage for their qualifications. And that is where I'm hearing a lot too of the conflicts within certain organizations with qualified Caymanians coming back. And it's as though they're fighting every day to gain the respect for their qualifications by or from individuals who are expatriates. And this is where the divide is coming. They both have qualifications on the same footing, but the Caymanians are feeling that they're not looked at the same, because in a lot of these organizations, they're outnumbered and they're looked at as a risk. Remember, a Caymanian coming in with the same or more qualifications don't need a work permit, not controlled by immigration. So of course, if they come in on the back end of things, guess what will happen? You're a threat to somebody who is already there. And the environment now, what is being described, is becoming toxic. And then if Caymanian get frustrated and they feel, look, this is my home. This is my home. They're fearful of speaking because they could be blackballed. That term comes up, and I know Siobhan don't like to hear it, but it becomes a reality. They speak out, it's used against them. They speak up and defend, or even just try to sometimes be on certain platforms based on what organization they work in. They could probably lose their job. And all of a sudden, MIA, you don't see them anymore. And these are Caymanians. And that is another cause for concern, especially if you adhere to the rules and the guidelines. Now, we're hearing more that certain organizations and businesses are saying they're actually monitoring a lot of their staff social media pages And this is why we're becoming a society where people are fearful of speaking, because it seems as though the rules of certain organizations now are actually being rewritten, that even in the private sector, sometimes you could be looked at as a bad person if you actually go and contribute on certain platforms. So that in itself as well is causing a problem. And we're seeing more and more where our locals are either being replaced, losing their jobs in their own country because they're speaking out and speaking up, not necessarily tearing down any elected MPs or just speaking about things that matter. And it's being used against them. And all of a sudden they're losing their jobs. So is that the environment that we are wanting? Because to me, that appears to be a community where it's dictatorship, right? And the more we capitulate, the more we get pulled back, is the more, guess what? A dominant power steps in. Mr. Fullerton says they had University of London GCE back in the, yeah. Tartarian says no one should be allowed to graduate unless they have an above average grade or equivalent. Back then they had set 6. Oh yeah, I remember that. And they did nothing in class. That was the root of the problem, set 6. You know, it's true. When you look at who was at Tartarian, when you looked at who was in set 4 and below, I challenge you, the majority of our very own locals, majority, are the ones who are in our prison system. And this is why when that conversation comes up, they're saying that that was the beginning of the end, where classism, racism was actually stepping in, but in a more subtle way. And I remember those. And remember, you had to get a certain grade to be in set 1 or set 2 for math or English, because those were mandatory subjects. But I saw, and even now at the tender age of 51, we are still seeing in the prison system, and of course we remember from our years, who were below set 3 and set 4. Those are the ones that actually ended up in our system. So I think history will tell us a lot if we look at the statistics of when this set 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, you automatically felt less. You didn't even want to tell people, what set you were in. And it was based on performance. And more than likely, it was based on good intentions. But what it actually did to a mental psyche is that you were actually looked at as a reject. Because remember, when even job fairs came around, those set 6 didn't go. And even if they weren't performing academically, those to me should have been mixed with the set 1, 2s, and 3s when they went on these certain trips for thing. At least we're talking about the days when we were in school. And I even remember class of 1990, you had to be either in set 1 or set 2 to even be allowed to do computer studies. Yes, I will never forget it. And I ended up into it. I ended up because I was in a set that allowed me to take computer studies. I took computer studies and not typing because I was eligible. What was offered to set 3 and below was typing classes. But if you weren't in sets 1 or 2, you were not even allowed to select computer studies. And look at where we are right now in the digital age. And I feel when you look at even our generation, our age group, Tartarian, there's some of us that are just like, I can't fool with that digital thing. Oh no, online banking. If I didn't have to, I would prefer a bank book. There's still some of us in our age group that didn't have that privilege and now thrust into this world of digital. Remember cursive writing and all of that? And now we're clicking. but it does something for your motor skills anyhow. And it's quite interesting though. Yes, it's happening. Hey, Miss Dorothy, how you doing? Andrew says, can you imagine, Sabrina, you spent thousands of dollars to send your children to university only for them to try and get a job at Burger King flipping burgers, but competing with work permit holders? Yes, I do. It is real. Don't you think I haven't gone through it? Oh yeah, I lived that. Thank God they are doing pretty well for themselves, even though I have one that's more theory, one that is more practical. I have the both in between my two boys. But yeah, some actually take mortgages out on their houses, Andrew, and they can't go into retirement because they made sure that they did, if they couldn't get the scholarships, they made sure they paid for their children to get a good tertiary education, and still now having to come back and compete with work permit holders. But that is not necessarily the system. That is an environment as well. That is an environment, because justification is made based on what is contained in a cover letter to say, well, this is why these people are not up to speed. This is why you have to grant this work permit, yada, yada, yada. And once it's justified and you go through all the check box, the board's hands are tied, to be honest. As frustrating as it is, the board's hands are tied, unless there's something personal or malicious, and that will come out in the rinse or the wash. But if they actually follow the guidelines and they have actually provided evidence that they have done everything to make sure that the person that they're looking for to do this job, and the last resort was to apply for a work permit, that the skills are in low or is not available. There's nobody that they could find available to do the job. They don't have the skill set and all that sort of stuff. The board's hands are tied, and they usually got to approve it. And if it's refused, guess what? There's an appeal process, and you're entitled to your appeal. And that's a fresh set of eyes looking as to whether or not the board's decision was unreasonable, at variance with the law, contrary to principles of natural justice. And you got to lay it out. It could be all of those things. You just need to substantiate your grounds for the appeal. And many a times, these things are overturned at the appeal stage, but it is a long process. And if it is a case where you're waiting on it for your business to operate, during that time, you don't have somebody working, your services, your business could be failing. And sometimes these waits could cause some irreversible damage to the reputation and functionality of the business. So it is a delicate balance when you're tasked with actually looking at some of these applications, whatever marching orders you have been given by the government or the administration of the day. You need to also remember that these businesses, no matter how micro you are or how big you are, they still have to operate. And it is a delicate dance. It is a very delicate dance, and one that could have irreversible damage, long-term impacts. But if the top priority is making sure that Caymanians are given an opportunity, then it may go far beyond legislation. It may go from the environment. Tartarian says, yes, those that were in set 6 are in prison. Not all, but yes, they were looked at as rejects. Yes, compute. See, so thank God you remembered. I thought it was weird. I thought that was something that I think, but I remember personally when I was selecting it, may his soul rest in peace, Mr. Alban. He was the one that says, he really stood by me in order to get in there. And it wasn't a problem because I was for math, I was in set 2. Yeah, for math. And I think that was where they were trying to sideline me, but he fought for me. And then it was all the set 1 and set 2. So, and I did very well. I did very well at the end of the day. So thanks. May his soul rest in peace. Mr. Alban believed in me and I was able to do it. And I guess that's why I'm catching on to some of these things now so quickly, because I had that foundation from back in 1990. Mr. Fullerton is saying that was a turn off to some students. Yes. Some were late bloomers. Yes, Mr. Fullerton. They were segregated. They were put in these lower sets. And It was like, you're just showing up because the law mandates you have to go to school. Perfect attendance. We'll push you through the system. Yeah, true. I don't like online. You don't like online banking? Oh, Mr. Fullerton, better get used to it. Aliano says, when I was in high school in America, they laughed at our set segregation. A lot of people have actually laughed at it. And I think it hasn't helped us, to be honest. It has not helped us. They also had two paths of schooling, tech, prep, and college academic courses. Good evening, Miss J. How are you? Late to class? It's 6:52, almost at the end. And Aliano is saying, everyone did algebra 1 to 2 and branch off literature 1 and 2, and then branched off from there. You see, everybody started off on the same footing, Aliano. But that was not the case. You were automatically put into those lower sets. And as you got lower, the environment became less promising for the trajectory of your future. Very few made it out of there. And I could say did very well for themselves and continue to do well for themselves. But it was almost like they were ostracized. And we're just not talking about set 6 alone. But that set 6 felt it the most, to be honest. What happened, Andrew says, to the business staffing plan that was implemented years ago to map out recruitment for eligible Caymanians, hotels, restaurants? Are they exempted? No, they're not. Business staffing plan with companies that employs more than 10 must file a business plan. BSP board still meets, and they have scholarships based on the BSP in certain positions. Certain positions comes with certain conditions, certain nationality conditions, training, such the Reg 6. But it's still there. It's still there. Now, I see where they're trying to look like they're trying to wake back up the accreditation system, where it's based on points. Well-behaving organizations and employers demonstrate that, they've done everything to make sure that Caymanians are given first priority, are employed, that they have a good balance of the workforce and they can justify that they only apply for work permits if they must. It looks as though they're trying to bring that back. It's pretty sad that the accreditation system, as was previously sold from back Mr. Manderson days, and he was in immigration, if my memory serves me well, that never got off the ground. But if my memory serves me well, that was from when he was immigration before he became deputy governor. And if that was rolled out, and I can remember Sherry Bodden and them back in the day as well, when that was a thing. Yeah. If that had rolled out when that should have rolled out, I don't think we would have had the amount of problems that we have now, because it was really a better oversight than just a BSP. If the accreditation system was implemented back then and tweaked as we went along, I think we would have been on a very different path today when it came to how work permits are actually looked at. Not to tell you that 1-2 wouldn't slip through the crack. Please don't get me wrong. But I feel that if the accreditation system was implemented, that we wouldn't necessarily be in this position right now. Wake up, the Cayman Islands says, the 1990s seemed to had an education system problem worldwide. I had adults age 40 to 50 plus doing my course here in the UK. And on the other hand, we have 25-year-olds who are managers, you see? You know what, Wake Up? I think we were the last, being class of 1990, I was born in 74. Those last, anyone born within that area, we were the last ones at the very mix of what our parents were and an introduction of what is creating this Gen 1, Gen Zs, and whatever. We are the last. We were at the beginning of digital. We were at the beginning of emails and all that sort of stuff that we would not have had exposure to in our curriculum. But we were out of school 1990, 89 and 1990, and we had to pivot very quickly. So what we do have, speaking from experience, and I was saying this to my cousin the other night, We have the luxury of the last part of our parents and grandparents surviving, where when you ran a debit card, you still, or credit card, you still had to do the carbon thing, where you actually still wrote hand receipts. We have a mix of that and the foundation of where we're headed right now. And that's what makes us unique. We can see both spectrums. But to tell you now that the generation now isn't moving at lighter speed than us, light, fast speed, of course. But we are still unique in our way. Class of 1990s, 40s, 50s, even I would say, yeah, that age group, we are hybrids. We still have a lot of principles instilled from the very old school that has made us, yes, and cell phones. I remember they had just come in back then. Yeah. So we are at the end of my mom's age, getting all of that type of lifestyle and stuff. And you call it the old school. And we were the beginning chapter of the new era that we are now in today. So it's very interesting how we've evolved and done well. I must say we have to congratulate ourselves because we have stood the test of time and we're still continuing. Tartarians say, the system threw us at the mercies of hotel employment and low-level government jobs. If you were lucky, that's true, Tartarian, but we still did well. Saying all of that, Tartarian, some have done very well for themselves. Yes. Well, ladies and gentlemen, oh my gosh, look at how time flies. It's 7:00, and that brings us to the close of this week's episode of Sabrina Speaks, and definitely this Friday the 13th open mic Friday episode of Sabrina Speaks. What a week it has been. And I'm looking forward and I'm excited to see what the week ahead has in store. Thank you all for your continued support, be it you join me live or you look at me after the fact. I really appreciate you visiting my page, and actually I enjoy the discussions even when you see me out on the road. Until Monday, please, please, please be safe on the roads. To all of our men and women on the front lines, thank you for your service. And for all of my friends who is at home just trying to get well, happy Friday. Love you lots. God bless. Stay safe. Good night.
That's a wrap for today's edition of Sabrina Speaks. Thank you for tuning in and for being part of the conversation. Remember, the dialogue doesn't stop here. Stay engaged, stay informed, and most importantly, stay empowered. We'll be back tomorrow at 5 p.m., same time, same place, right here on CMR TV and radio, where your voice matters and your truth is heard. Until then, K-Man, take care of yourself and each other.
That's it for today's edition of Sabrina Speaks, where your voice matters, your story counts, and your truth is always welcome. Join us weekdays from 5 until 6:30 p.m. right here on CMR TV as we dive into the topics that matter most to you. Catch the show live or on demand at cmrtv.com. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram so you never miss a moment. Until next time, stay informed, stay engaged, and always speak your truth.